Hello, hello. It's Renee, independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. And it's Tuesday. It's around 3 o'clock. I'm a little early today, but that'll be okay, I hope. But anyway, I go live on Facebook in a few moments. But before that, I just do a small little intro here to kind of give you a display of what's going to be happening. It's all about matching card, envelope, and bow. It's all about that. And if you, oh my gosh, you ran out of envelopes, what are you going to do? Okay. And so I'm going to show you how to build a simple envelope and how to do some of these fun bows and the different sizes, as you can see over here. Okay, well, let's go ahead and go live. I am sure I'm on. So let's see, I am. I think so. Let's see. Let's see. Yes, I'm live streaming now. Yes, very good. Okay, that's all I needed to see. And so we are good to go. I hope everybody is okay today. And it's all about envelopes, matching card, matching bow. That's what it's all about. And how to make these easy envelopes. Now, I'm going to show you a tool that Stampin' Up! Used to have. We Are has, and the Stampin' Up! And We Are were exactly the same, and how we make these envelopes with the We Are, and how we can make a bow with the We Are envelope and board punch. I can do that, but I'm also going to show you how to make one just using your trimmer. So I think that kind of some trimmer and punches actually. And you know, I love punches, so punches come in handy. The tools you need are your bone folder, a pair of scissors, definitely adhesive, and some punches and a scoreboard. All right, so let's go ahead and start working on these fun, different sized, fun little cards. All right, so I'm going to be making one for you. Show you these big ones. You can have them all different sizes, and you can have all different kind of centers in those, as you can see right here, just so that you see the different flowers, different kind of centers that you can have. All right, that will work for these. And you can see that they can be pretty tiny. The We Are scoreboard is the better board for the tinier ones. I will say that. It does work, but they are better. So first of all, I want to go ahead and show you the board that we're going to be using today, all right? And that is the We Are board. And I'm going to turn on this light to see so there's no shadow. Okay, so this is the scoreboard. Stampin' Up! Used to sell one just about 1.5 to 2 years ago. If you have it, bring it back out. How about if you run out of envelopes and all of a sudden you need envelopes? Well, this board will make you many sizes of envelopes. That is for sure. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on standard envelopes. And so you can either use, know and realize, you can either use standard cardstock to make these, or designer series paper to make these envelopes. You're going to cut them exactly the same way. And so when you are going to use this great tool to make an A2, it says to make an A2, which is your standard size, it says 4 and 8 and 1/8 by 8 and 1/8 piece of paper I do 8¼ by 8¼ it's a little bit better. I think it's just, it needs that little bit. And you're going to make your first score at 3¾ So this is how this works if you've never seen this. And this is exactly like the old Stampin' Up! One. So the first thing it says is to go ahead and cut an 8¼ by 8¼ which I did out of this designer series paper. And these are the two pieces that are left. And these two pieces that are left are used to create a bow and to create a card. So you can easily create a card and a bow with these remnants, okay? And so we'll talk about that when I make that. All right. So now what we're going to do is the very first score we're going to make, and they have even a little tool here, is 3¾ So you're going to just go to 3¾ You're going to notch it. And then you're going to come here and do this, all right? And then you're gonna go over and you're gonna take this right here, this end piece right here, this end piece, and line it up with your last score line, okay? So you're just gonna make sure that you're gonna line it up with that score line. That is important. Notch it, so that kind of locks it in, I think, and then score, okay? And then you're gonna go back in, just turn it around and get it so that it's exactly that line is lined up with your score line. And you want to make sure that you're kind of on the money there, because if you aren't, it kind of messes up. So there you go there. Oh, didn't notch it. So I'm going to have to revisit that. Sometimes I forget. Go right there. That's right there, I believe. All right, hopefully I was right. And then again, you're going to, I'm having some hard time with my lighting. I always have a hard time with my lighting. Not sure why, what goes on here in this room, but I try. I have to someday get new lighting or figure out a different system of lighting. So there we go. And you're all notched, okay? And the beauty with this thing, it has this little other, it has a rounder. It has a little rounder. And so these are going to be the sides, and this is the top and the bottom. So I'm going to take that and I'm just going to put that in there. And I'm going to round my top and bottom. I could just round my top really, but that's okay. When you do start this, if there is a direction to the pattern, the very first score line that you make, okay, the very first one that you make at 3¾ just go ahead and make sure that it's going up and down so that you do have a straight up and down image, okay? That is the only hint that I have. And then there you go. This is this wonderful scoreboard. And there you go. You have your envelope. It's all done. You're gonna go and put some glue right here and right here, all right? And then you're gonna bring this down and then you're gonna glue this shut when you have your card inside. Now, you will notice that on my envelopes, I just went ahead and got a sticky from Staples, just a sticky label, and just stuck it right on there. And that's all you need to finish off your card, okay? So, so that would be building one with the We Are, all right? And of course, you can build all different sizes with the We Are. Here's the labels. I knew I had the labels around here somewhere. I just have the Avery white mailing labels. That's all. That's it. There you go. And there you're set. Okay. So after that, what I do want to show you is how to make the same size, okay, but without this tool. And instead, see all the little remnants here, fun little remnants. All right, instead using your scoring tool. Okay, all you need is a standard sheet of 8.5 by 11. Okay. And what we're going to do is we are going to make this into an envelope. All right. And it's going to close this way and this way, this way and this way. And you are done. You are done. Okay. So when I first did it, I went to 8.5. Okay, here is another, there's my kind of my template, but I would go to 1 1/4 and 1 3/8 if you want this longer. Okay, so this one ends up to be, about 6 inches long. Okay, so that ends up to be 6 inches long right here. All right, if you want it any longer, all right, you just take these, or shorter, you just take these in. This first one, when I went 1 1/2, ended up to be about a 5 1/2, and a 5 1/2 is just a little too tight for my cards. All right, it just, you have to really push them in there, and I don't want to do that. So I'd rather have a little space. And if you look at the cards that you build, it's not too much space. If you look at this card, that your standard card, let me see, standard piece of card stock. Here we go. Here we've got one standard piece of card stock. It goes in very nicely. It's really not too big. It's very nice. It's still a standard stamp. You can, again, you can change the increments by a little bit to make it smaller or larger, and that will be up to you. But this is for a handy, quick, and easy card. So what you're going to do is you're going to go 1 1/4 inches. Now you could go again, maybe 1/8 more, all right, over, and that would make this area a little smaller. But for ease, let's just do 1 1/4. All right, and so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to 3 1/8. So I'm going to just go down to 3 1/8 here. Then I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go to 8. And I'm going to have to stick my head under here, otherwise I won't see. I'm so sorry. I got to go just about 1/8 and 1/8. So that's 2 marks. I think I'm there. Okay. I hope I'm there. All right. So that's that. Okay. I could go right here and make sure 3. Yeah, I did good. All right. So I do that exact same thing. I go 1 1/4, go 1 1/4 to 3 1/8. And for purposes of my head not going into your video, I'm going to go ahead and go from that 3 1/8 up. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut these off. And the way I cut these off is basically, all I have to do is go to that 3 1/8, right? Basically, that's where I am, 3 1/8, and I can feel it when I reach there, and I can just pull it off. And I can go here, and I can go up here, and I can feel it and pull it off. Yes? Great labels. I'm going to do the same for the other side. I'm going to go that 3 and that 8. And I'm going to go, you can always visualize it as well. I'm going to go here until I feel it, pull it off, lift that, and I'm going to go down until I feel it. And there you go. Now, what I'm going to do is I have that right here, put that away. I'm going to take my scoring tool. I'm going to score it right here. I'm going to turn that around. I'm going to put that right there. Make sure that this line is right at that groove, that this line is right at that groove, just like that, right? And then score. Okay. And then this becomes 1 1/4 is what we said, right? But again, all you need to do is just bring this right to the groove, this edge and that edge right to the groove, and score. Yes? And score. Same thing. Just take it right into that groove where the score will be, and there you go. See? Okay. So now what you do is, of course, you have something that looks like this, which is, you know, if you didn't want to do anything else, you wouldn't have to. There you go. But we want to make it a little fancy. So what we do is we go over 2 blocks to the right, 2 blocks to the right, all right, with each edge, and we go right to the corner, right to the corner. See how that is right there? Right here. So I'm mitering it to the edge. Miters always go this way. You go from the outside into the score line, and you're going to do that to every single one of these. Okay, so I'm going to go here too, and I'm going to go right to that edge, because I don't want to miter that off. I am going to go in because I really want it close, but I only want 2, so everybody's equal, just like that. I'm going to bring it back now. Take a little fussing around with to make it good. There you go. And then there you go. And you see, you're going to miter all the edges this way. Same thing here, even with the smaller pieces. You're going to go ahead and go to the 2 mark. You're going to go to the 2 right here, 2 over, so that's 1/2 inch. And you're going to take it straight up. I go to that right side of that scoreboard. That's why I love this scoreboard, because it has that right side, and miter up. And I'm going to do that with the other side. And I just would flip that then and do the exact same thing. And just take it to that edge and miter up so that they're equal. And then I bring that down, and I again would go right here. Bring that and do the same thing here. So I like to do it on the down part and just take it, the 2, and just to that edge, just so that I'm going straight to that point, right? And then this one, same thing. And I've got my card, and I've got a really good size card, so that if mine's a little bit bigger than a 5 1/2, I'm good to go. So here again, just take it straight to that edge, miter up. And then the 2. And so you can see here how I'm just flipping and going, and just making sure that I'm mitering exactly the same way each time, so that now I have my envelope. All right, and you can embellish this any way you like, but if you ever run out of an envelope, or you want to use your designer paper, I used cardstock, but of course you can take an 8 1/2 by 11 piece of designer series paper and cut it exactly the same way and make yourself a great, great envelope, okay, using your scoreboard. All right, so I wanted to show everyone that just in case they ran short. And again, this is a little bit bigger, but that's great because it means that you can make your card a little bit bigger. I think it should be a fancy card since it's a gift. And this is going to be 4 3/4, 4 3/4 by 6. As far as the total size of this. All right, so that if you wanted it, if you want it more than 4 3/4, all right, instead of 1 1/4, I would simply go an inch over. Now, I think an inch would still be enough, but you might, I think an inch would still be enough to go flap over, because that's only 1/4 away, and there's plenty still here. So you lose 1/4 here and 1/4 here, and I think that's plenty. So you can still make it even wider than this. And as far as tall, for sure, you can make this taller. Instead of going down to 3 1/8, you could go down to 2 3/4. So you can actually, so you could change this from 3 1/8 to 2 3/4, and you'll see on both ends exactly the same. So your measurements to make it even bigger would be 1 inch and 1 inch, and go down 2 3/4 only versus 3 1/8 and 1 1/4. Okay, and you would have a great card, a great envelope. Okay, so you saw how those envelopes were made, and what I wanted to show you, I talked about the fact that with that, oh, this card got a little messed up. So if I can fix it. Because we want to keep it. What we did is, with that extra designer paper that I had, okay, I have a standard sized 4.5 by 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. So this was your standard piece. And then I took that 3 3/4. I believe it was only, it should have been, what was left is 3 3/4. And I put it here, and you can see here with these 3 3/4, it's going to be a little smaller. Okay. So since I didn't use the same paper, I should have used the same papers, because it would be 3 3/4. I should give you this as an example. So 3 3/4. So these will be the borders. They'll be a little bit bigger, but that's fine. So I went 3 3/4 by 5 is what you want to do. So 3 3/4 by 5, and you want to go ahead and glue that on. And then once you have your there you go. So once you have that, so I would just take this piece and go ahead and cut it. Actually, I take this piece and cut it at 5. All right. And then put it on here. Okay. And as you can see here, this is what it would be. All right. So the borders are just a little bit bigger. Then I would take this and go down to my, and I'll measure this so you get the exact measurements. And so I take the other part of this piece, and I go ahead and measure a 4 3/4 by 3.5 is what I did here. I did 4 3/4 by 3.5 is what I made it here, because I made it askew. I didn't put it on flat. I wanted to have some fun with it. So I went ahead and did that. So that's what you would do here. And so then I would glue this on like this. So this is a really quick card, but what happens is that it really looks really great and fancy, because it has this fancy little envelope that coincides with it. Okay. And then I used one of the new punches that came out, and this is a great punch, and is in the annual catalog. And I'm going to go ahead and put that on there. And I can put that, I just put just for you. I also love this stamp set. This is the limited edition from the annual catalog. And I just love this stamp set because it has a few things, a paper hug from me, a few things that are really sweet and that I could put on the back, and I could put this on the back, but isn't that great just right there? So I kept that there. And we can go ahead and put our dimensionals on here. And so the fun thing about this card, guys, is that it coordinates. Everything coordinates. That's why I like this card, because the envelope would coordinate, the card and a bow, and you'll see that in a second. And so here, I'm just going to put that a little bit askew myself right here. And then I made the bow. I made the little bow right there. So you see, I can make the bow with this piece of paper that was left, the other strip. Okay, so that would be this strip. I would cut a 1x6. Actually, yeah, this one was a 1x6, and I'll explain how these are made in just a second with that paper. And these are made with the tool, but there's another way of doing this. All right, so I put a little glue on here, and I'm just going to put this little bow right here on my card. That's sweet. And then I did not cut, this is Celebrations paper. And this Celebrations paper came with a stamp set. And the stamp set is A Wonderful World. And so this is for $100 purchase. You get this free. You get this stamp set and this lovely, sweet paper. Now, what I'm going to do, basically, you would typically, I think we should still do it this way. You would typically lose your stamp and seal here. That would be the best thing to do, is use your stamp and seal and go ahead and close that. Now, I did not use the envelope from the designer paper. I showed you how one was made, and I showed you how one was made out of cardstock. I decided to use the same cardstock, all right? And then go ahead and stamp that little flower. So this card is all ready to go. If you wanted to add bling, you could add bling, but it's all ready to go and get sent. It's not extra fluffy. Normal stamp will work just fine. And there you go. Isn't that fun? All right. So now let's talk about how to create the bows. When you're creating the bows, you can do it, again, using the machine or not, okay? So if we use the machine, all right, what we would have, and I'm gonna show you here, I have just the two pieces. Okay, what we're going to show you is you are going to have a piece of paper, and what you want to do, this is from that beautiful paper from the Celebrations catalog. And I made this. This is 5 inches long. And then this is going to be 4 inches long. Now, typically you can make them both the same length, or you can make them shorter. And if they're shorter, it just looks like the wings are out there. So what you want to do is you want to find your center for this. And that's going to be at 2.5. So that was 5. So I'm going to take it to 2.5, and I'm going to punch. And then I'm going to take it to 2.5, and I am going to punch. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bone folder. not for this one. Then what I'm going to do, made a mistake. Then what I'm going to do, this is the longer piece, right? The longer piece is the back piece. So you're not going to do that to it. You're going to go find the center. You just have to center this. And that is an eyeball type of thing. And you just have to look and you center it and then you make your little wings. Of course, if you don't want to do that, we all know we have this wonderful punch that'll do that very easily. And cutting these, and I'm going to show you 2 ways to cut this part out. All right, and so you'll see that. Okay, besides this tool. And then again, you want to center it. You're hoping you're kind of centered. Hoping, eyeballing, bang. All right, good. And so that's your back side. I'm just going to bring that. So like that. And that'll be kind of nice because then it'll be kind of a fun little. So this one, again, so this was 4 inches, as I said. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take that to 2. Just take that to 2 and punch, and take that to 2. Punch, so we just turned it around. Okay, now we're going to do this. I'm actually going to do it on the other side. I'm not making it all the same color. This is fairly easy now. And all you have to do is you're just going to bring it in, and you don't have to worry. To be honest, if it goes beyond, all you do is you're going to trim that off with a pair of scissors. So do not worry. And you're going to take that and bring it in as well. And you can bring it in further and you're just going to trim it. But I'm going to bring it in about there on the side. So there's not too much to trim. And definitely you want to use your tape. And I'm going to put my tape about here, a little bit off, away from the center. This is not going to go on the center, okay? A little bit off from the center. And I'm doing this because you want to keep your bow still kind of, you want to keep your bow fluffy. So you want to keep your bow fluffy here. Now I made this pretty small, but you see here the little edges, not a big deal. Just cut them off. They're behind anyway. You'll never see them, so just cut them off. Just cut them off. This is so that your bow is a little bit smaller. You can make it as big. You can do a 5. Now you see that makes that. That makes that a much bigger, okay, wings. All right, you don't have to have the wings that long. All right, you can go ahead and cut this off and then do that. You can cut that off and make the wings a little less. It just depends on you. So you could have 4 and 4, and then it'll be a little bit smaller on the wings. I this time made them longer. So you can decide whether you want them shorter or longer. You can make them the exact same size as the bow was, 4 inches, 4 inches. That'll make this just come out at the edge versus longer. So I'm going to show you that. I'm going to just cut this just like that, just so that you can see, just like that. Okay. And I'm going to put this back in, just so you can see. Hopefully I'm centered. Oh, I'm pretty good. Doing pretty good here so far. Okay. Yes, good. And so now I made them a little shorter. Okay, so let me show you the rest of this. So now what I do is, it's not quite gluing down, so I'll get some more tape on there. Bring that over. Okay, then I'm going to put some tape right here on the center part. So that's going to go right here. It's going to match up nicely. Again, I see that I'm a little off on that one side, so I'm just going to cut that off. Just cutting that off. When I put it back in, I didn't put it back in right. Okay, so now the center part. Well, you know how you get all these little scraps around? Oh, look, I love this for this. You're going to take this and you're going to, what I do is I wrap a little bit because I like it to be a little fluffier. So I wrap. So I wrap it twice around, maybe even 3 times around if I want. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my little tape right there. And I'm just going to stick that down. And then I'm going to go ahead. Now you can cut out a flower. You can do like I did on the other ones, do a daisy. But remember how we have all these little pieces? And look, we have such a cute little bow. Now to make the second bow, what you do is typically to make like on these other ones where you have 2 bows. So this piece and the first bow, which would be this bow, are exactly the same length. And then this one, the second piece is exactly an inch shorter. And I'm going to show you that with a different technique just so that you see. So that's a cute little bow. All right, so my next one is going to be this one. And I want to show you how this works if you don't have a tool. Now, I will tell you, and I think I have it here, I will tell you that you can use scissors and simply make the folds and do like a miter. But I'm not very good at it. This is where you make one piece and you can actually do a bow from one piece. But for the mitering, you have to be pretty exact and you have to, you have to be really careful. And it is not my strength. Although it works, it's not something, here's another one piece. There it is, just like that. I cut it. And then here I would go put that in and that in. And there you go. And there I would have my bow, okay, that would lie on my piece, right? And the thing is that with the cutting, they sometimes don't line up very well because you have to cut exactly the same way. So what you do is you find your center. That is number 1 when you're doing this. You find your center. And again, you can take your scissors and you can simply miter up very, very small, all right? Or you can take, and this is what I liked, you can take your ladybug punch. It gave me more accuracy. You take your ladybug punch and you just go in there and just, the only thing is with the ladybug punch, okay, let me do it this way. I want to make a pencil mark so I can see what I'm doing. So if this is my center, I'm going to draw a line in my center. All right, so I drew a pencil line. And I don't want to go, I need to leave some space in between. So I'm just going to go like this. And if you see here, you can see the markings, okay? And I actually put these 2 together. Yes, you're right. I did put these are the 2 that are the same length. All right. So we're going to do a double bow. So now I can go ahead. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to go beyond that line. I'm going to make sure that I'm centered here on this. And I'm going to go like that. Okay, that's 1. Then on the other side, I'm going to do the same thing again. You really want to center it. You want to see and center that. Make sure it's equal on both sides and clip. Now I did a little bit too much on that one side. So I'm going to do a little bit less. We're good to go. Okay. So now on this one, of course, we have our, I love punches. We have this punch and I could go ahead and put it in and punch it. Or again, if you don't have a punch, of course, you can go ahead and cut it like this and make your wings. Make your wings. So I'll make my wings. First, I cut the center, then I make my wings going here. And so that's going to be that part. This is going to go like this. So I'm going to take that and I am going to go this way. Of course, want to take our bone folder. So why do I love punches? Because they typically have everything I need. Just going to go in there. And I just did it right here, right behind this. And so that I can go ahead and put that there. And I can go ahead and put that there and I can level that very nicely. All right. And then that's going to go in there. Since I did cut it, and again, I was not as exact as I have been in the past with this, but there it is. Yeah, it'll be fine. So I can go right here. And so I can glue that down. So I'm going to take that right in the middle and glue that down. And if I have any pieces I don't like, I'll just cut them off as I usually do. So if there's something that's bothering me, it's the back. It's going to be glued down so no one will see it. So you can go ahead and cut that off if something is in your way. Okay, then this one, again, what you're going to do here, this one, you're going to have to go ahead. And I'm going to look at that. And I'm going to draw that line again because I do not want to make a mistake. So if you want to do doubles, this is what you do. Like that. Again, when you go here, just go so that it's centered. So that's centered. That looks like it's all equal on everybody's side. So there you go. That's a better cut this time. Just make sure you're centered and angled correctly so it looks like it's equal on both sides. Don't go too far up. Do your markings. I'm getting used to it. Now, this one should have been, yes, an inch shorter. So again, you always want to go an inch shorter on the second one. If you want to make a third one, you could probably do the same thing. Again, I'm going to put the glue right here. So if you don't have that tool, doesn't mean you cannot make these bows, does not mean you cannot make the envelopes. They'll just be a little different. You can make a pretty big envelope, so that's kind of good news. And I'm going to put that right there. And again, that was just from that excess paper in making the envelope. All right, so that was just from that excess paper in making the envelope. And now you can go ahead and do your winding around. Let me see what I have. I have some, we always have this kind of stuff sticking around, don't we? Look, it's great. We even have cardstock. We can use designer paper. We can use cardstock. You can use ribbon. You can use anything to make that center. You can use your daisy punch. You can use die cuts. There's just anything you want you can use to make your center of your bow. And again, all I do is wind it up a little bit for a bit. And then I go ahead and tape that down. It just depends on how thick I want it or how it's going. And so I just take a long piece and just have fun with it. And there you go. Now, there's your bow without the machine. There's a bow with the machine. So it just depends. All right. And you can do smaller sizes. The smaller sizes are just dependent on how long. You really can't go much less than 3/4 of an inch. That's really tough. Even 3/4 is tough. So you would have to work on making that even thinner. But you would have to be careful. All right. So I wanted to show you how to make an envelope and make a card with that envelope. Here you have dies that came out. All right. Here again, here we had an envelope and a card again. And I could have gone ahead and taken that little guy, just like I did with the other card, and placed that on there. I still could have some of these dies here if I want, die cuts. That's very, very cute and sweet. All right. So I believe I have showed you everything I wanted to. Now, I did have some larger cards. I made some really large cards with this machine, and you really can make almost an A8. So your cards can really be big. And so they can be a 6x6 or a 6x7. Or a 6x8. So you can get quite large. All right. But again, with our hand cutting and an 8.5x11 sheet of paper, I think we did pretty well. That, like, please, hearts, please visit me here. Remember, I have a YouTube, Renate653, if you're watching me live here on my page, which is Renate's Paper Crafts Business. Come visit me there. Check my blog. Go to my YouTube site. Go and click on description, and you will see my link tree, which will take you to all my social media. So I am going to say goodbye for today. I hope I showed you some fun ideas and different ways of making these bows. I will use my We Are. I will use this. Hopefully Stampin' Up! Will come back with theirs, maybe even a better version than ever, as they usually do. So if they get this machine, I would get it. Otherwise, you do know how to make bows, and you do know how to make envelopes now. All right. Have a great afternoon. I hope you had a wonderful 4th of July. All right. I will see you next week. Bye-bye now.